Oh, I'm live on the YouTube channel and on my Facebook timeline. If you can see me live and direct, just drop a comment below and say, I can see you live. I can see you live. I can see you live. Hi, everyone. Good day. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Me llamo Bisola Miriam. Hi guys, my name is Bisola Miriam, and today I'll be answering the question, how can I get a fully funded scholarship with a second class? Okay, I'm going to be editing my my streaming details. Is it possible for me to get a fully funded scholarship with a second class lower? All right, so yes. If you're live with me, just drop a comment. If you're live with me, drop a comment below. If you're watching me live, drop a comment below. If you can see me live and direct, simply drop a comment. Let me know if you can see me. Let me know if you can hear me. And definitely, I will be sharing my screen. I just got one slide, and I will be sharing my screen right now. If you can see my screen, just say I can see your screen. I'm going to be putting a question mark here. Um, if you can see me, just say I can see you. I can hear you loud and clear. Just say I can see you. I can hear you loud and clear. All right. The very question before me today is, can I get a fully funded scholarship with a second class lower? How possible is this? Is it possible? Is this feasible? Or is it just something that people say? A lot of times, people feel that fully funded scholarships are meant for people who have first class or who simply just have very good grades. Now, this is not to say that good grades are not important when it comes to securing a fully funded scholarship. All right. So bear in mind that a fully funded scholarship, though, is, bear in mind that yes, that getting a fully funded scholarship, no doubt, requires that you're competitive, that you have good grades, that you have all that the school or program or institution requires of you. Yes, good grades are very important, but good grades isn't all that you need to present to the school in order to get a fully funded scholarship. So today, my focus or my efforts would be to help you understand that why good grades are important. There are a lot of things that schools would bear in mind. And as a matter of fact, if you end up not having, or if you are in a situation where you do not have um, a first class, right, or a second class upper, that still does not completely make it impossible for you to get a fully funded scholarship. If you're with me and you can hear me loud and clear, I would like you to drop a comment simply saying, I can hear you. I can hear you. All right? Drop a comment simply saying, I can hear you. So I will be giving a couple of people um, heads up right now in our different communities so that they can join this conversation. So now, when it comes to securing a fully funded scholarship, now I'm going to be making this very specific, and so I'm going to be asking you to do a couple of things. So when you are looking at the possibility of getting a fully funded scholarship with a 2-2, now you need to ask yourself, what exactly are your what are your achievements, right? What are your achievements? You need to make a list of your achievements. What exactly are the school's requirements? Okay? School's requirements. So before you shoot yourself in the leg and say, oh, I am not competitive, they are not going to give me that position, the very first thing you need to do is to ask yourself, first of all, what are my achievements? You need to remember that despite you have a tutu, does not mean that you do not have achievements in other areas. Secondly, you need to ask yourself, what are the school's requirements? What are the school's requirements? Now, thirdly, or number three is get your facts, right? And number four, number three A, I would say number three B would then be that you what? Evaluate your transcript, evaluate your transcripts. Right? So I'm going to be flipping the order in which I have arranged all of this. This ideally is the last thing on this table, but I'm going to be touching on evaluate your transcripts first before I talk about other things, right? So if you're here with me, I'd like to know those who are watching live, those who are engaging before while we're having this conversation. I like to really know those who are engaging. And so I'm going to be looking at the chat room quickly just to know those who are with us live. All right. So the very first thing that I want to talk about is the fact that you need to first of all evaluate your transcript before you begin to panic. Now, what do I mean by evaluate your transcripts? Basically, it means that you have to look at all the scores that you achieved during your undergraduate program or that current degree that you hold that is a 2-2 or a second class lower and impute all the information as far as that transcript is concerned. Enter the courses and the units or the grades you finished with on west.org. Now, West has two different options. There is the paid option and the free evaluation tool. I'm recommending that you do not spend money to evaluate your. So you need to use the free resource or the free evaluation tool that West has provided or that West makes available to scholars or prospective applicants. So the very first thing you want to do is to evaluate your transcript. When you evaluate your transcript, these are the things that you would achieve. Number one, you are able to actually convert your current score or grade into the grading or into the grading system of the school or the university where you're planning to apply to. So let me give an instance. Maybe you graduated from a Kenyan university. The current grade that or the class of degree that you carry or that you have is not is not currently interpreted in the language or in the grading system of the country you intend to apply. And so the focus right now or at the beginning of this journey, the first thing you want to do is to evaluate your transcript and convert it into the grading system of the school where you want to apply to or that of the country where the school you need to apply to is in or is is situated or located. Now, after evaluating your transcript, there are a couple of you will discover. You realize that you have done well in some courses and you haven't done so well in some courses. And so the next task for you is to visit the school's website or the website of all the schools that you intend to apply to. Now, you have a transcript that you have evaluated. And so you have a cumulative. That cumulative will then be in maybe a 3 point something or 2.9, right? 3.1. Then the next question you want to ask yourself is, as you visit the school's website, as you navigate the school's website, are you seeing the different, I mean, are you able to see the class, the grade, or the minimum score or CGPA that is required for a particular program or other? When you see the minimum CGPA or grade, this is what it will do for you. It will help you tell where your current result falls in. Considering that you have evaluated your transcript and you have interpreted it in the CGPA system, or you've converted it into the CGPA system that is acceptable in the school where you want to apply to. The next task is to go to the school's website or the website of the different schools or programs and check if your current score fits minimum or is below or above. Now, if it is below, this is the next thing you want to do. You need to then on the school's website whether there is a permission to continue kind of clause. So a number of programs have this clause, which is permission to continue. So if you happen to have a score or a degree that is below, they offer you admission, conditional admission. So what is a conditional admission? A conditional admission offer is that kind of offer that you're given by a school or institution on the basis that if you continue to demonstrate that you are good or smart on that program, be given the opportunity to be withdrawn on that program. I'll repeat that. Convert your transcript and evaluate your transcript for free on west.org. When you do, this score will belong as far as the grading system of the country or the school that you intend to apply to. Now, when you do this, the next thing you want to go ahead and find out is to visit the website of each program or each school you want to apply to. When you visit the program website, you should actually look out for some of the following. Number one, the minimum. What is the minimum CGPA that is required to get into that program? If you meet that minimum based on the conversion that you have done, because as a matter of fact, you would realize that a lot of times you fall within the minimum. But because you think that, oh, I have a 2-2, hey, they won't admit me. Oh, no one is going to admit me. Who tells you? Or who has told you that? Get your facts. Convert your CGPA using West evaluation tool. And when you do that, then you can tell whether your CGPA falls below, meets the requirement, or is above. Now, in a situation whereby your CGPA falls below, look out for this second clause on the school's website, the permission to continue or the conditional admission offer. The conditional admission offer is such that even if you do not happen to have the minimum that is required to be competitive on that program, you are still going to be admitted. Does that make sense? You're still going to be admitted. But if you then demonstrate that you're willing to prove beyond reasonable doubt that you're good, if you do very well, guess what? You have no problem and you are not going to be withdrawn. So that is one way to actually get past this myth, the myth that people with a 2-2 cannot get a fully funded scholarship. I hope this makes sense to somebody. The second thing you will need to look at is to actually verify your school requirement. I think I've talked about that. The next thing you want to look at is to look at your achievements. So there are a lot of, many programs out there today are not just interested in people with good grades. You need to demonstrate academic excellence, exceptional performance in academics or in your coursework, in your professional work, in the professional, field, and of course in service or extracurricular achievement. So let me repeat that. There are three kinds of achievement that schools typically look out for. They look at your academic achievements, your professional achievement, and your extracurricular or service-based achievement. Now, the first one that you have been, the one you are probably focusing on, that you're thinking about all the time, is the academic, right? While the academic is important, that is not the only thing the schools out there look out for. They look at your professional achievements. So maybe you happen to have a 2-2, but you have been working in a field for over 5 to 10 years, and your experiences, guess what, is very important as an undergraduate student or as someone applying for an undergraduate program or a graduate degree, because they want, I mean, the experiences that you bring to the conversation. I mean, when you have conversation, some of the things you would share will be based on your experiences. Schools or grad school or schools abroad generally, they do not trivialize your experiences. And so remember that despite that you have a 2-2, your achievements are very important. So so you happen to currently have a degree, a second class upper degree in law. Think, well, you have a 2-2 in law and you want to apply for a master's program and you're skeptical. Now you need to understand that, okay, fine, you have a 2-2 in law. In the last 5 to 10 years, have you been practicing? Have you been have you been practicing law actively, or have you been doing anything professional wise that you can include in your application as part of your achievements? If yes, maybe you have been practicing full time or part time or whatever it is you've been doing that can show that professionally you have some more, you have experience. You can include that in your application, and this is how you can go about it. So maybe your research interest is women and gender rights, or the women rights, or human trafficking is the aspect of law that you're interested in, right? So perhaps you have been working closely with victims of human trafficking. Despite that you have a 2-2, your experience on the field as someone who has been working closely with victims of human trafficking, guess what, is viable, is laudable, is commendable, and is something that you can put side by side with your 2-2 law degree. Perhaps you have a degree in biological science and it's a 2-2. Now maybe your interest is drug discovery, and you have worked closely with pharmacists or pharmaceutical companies for 5 years. That professional experience on the field could be the basis for which you have now decided to explore the possibilities or the ways or the strategies to actually discover, or maybe that might then be the basis for your new interest in drugs for reduction of um, drugs and antidepressant, or drugs that would help people to overcome depression or reduce depression, or drugs that would cure certain diseases, or maybe drugs that would even bring about the permanent cure of cancer. Let me give another example. Perhaps you have a degree right now in pharmacy, and your next interest is to pursue a master's degree or perhaps a PhD or even an undergraduate program in a different area. Can you show or prove that you have professional experience on this, as far as this interest that you want to explore afresh or newly, or maybe as some sort of progression, or not, the word is not even progression, as some sort of continuation of what you have done before. Whatever level you are, as far as you can demonstrate that professionally you've got some experience that demonstrate that you have clarity as far as this interest that you are positioning yourself for is concerned, then go for it. The next thing I'd like to talk about is that you look at your extracurricular achievements. So maybe you don't even have so much experience, so much achievement professionally or professionally speaking. What do you have extracurricular wise? Now, what I'm trying to say here is, as far as your extracurricular achievement is concerned, can you show that you have actually been working on that interest, whether as a volunteer for nonprofits, whether as a community leader, whether as someone who actually has an active community online. So let me give this example. You have a tutu. Now, you don't have so much experience professionally, but you can demonstrate that in the last 5 years, you have been carrying out some community based work in that area. That community based work you've been carrying out, you haven't been doing it on your own. You have been carrying it out with people. You have been engaging with people. You have been asking questions. You've been interacting. You've been challenging status quo somehow, or status quos, or you've been investigating. Basically, your work as a community leader or within the extracurricular, I mean, as far as this extracurricular achievement is concerned, is viable, is laudable, is commendable, and it is something that you can position for your application. So let me make this even more specific. You happen to have a degree in maybe classics or classical studies, and you finish with a 2-2. Now, you have worked actively, maybe professionally speaking, you only have 1 year work experience. But before you actually finish that degree, or yeah, let's say before you finish that degree, you have been actively engaging children in impoverished communities, or impoverished children from street children, right? Now, because of your work as someone who has been working closely with street children, think about it this way. You can actually go ahead and pursue a degree in social work. Now, the fact that you have a 2-2, yes, is a limitation. The fact that you don't have so much experience as far as work experience is concerned, or professional experience is concerned, yes, is a limitation. But hey, that you have on the field experience as far as your voluntary work or your active engagement, active work as a community leader, working closely with street children is concerned, is commendable, and is an achievement that can position you for admission. And so think about a program like social work, where on the field, experiential, hands-on experience is really important. You can include that experience that you have as someone who has worked, or who is working, or who has been, who of course, who used to, who is currently, or who has been working closely with street children, or perhaps anything for that matter that you can consider service or community based work. So it is not all programs, or not all programs out there would only focus on your academic achievement. As a matter of fact, many programs today will look out for your academic achievements, your professional achievement, as well as your extracurricular or community based achievements. I hope this helps somebody today. And I'm going to be taking a couple of questions before I proceed. So if you have questions, make sure you note your questions. Now, let me also add this, points as far as this conversation is concerned. Remember that when you're trying to position yourself for admission, when you look at your transcript closely, you didn't do badly in all the courses. You didn't do terribly in all the courses. How about you take out time to actually look at the courses that you did really well, and begin to look at programs that fit into the courses that you did well in. Those courses you did really well in, whether they are departmental courses or courses you borrowed, you could actually look out for programs that fit into those courses. So, for instance, maybe you have a degree in classics and you've actually done very well as far as the courses that you borrowed from the Department of Communication Studies is concerned, or the courses from the Department of English. Now, what do you do? What you should do right now is to actually look at those courses and, kind of highlight those courses and ask yourself, because I did well in those courses, what programs can I apply for that would resonate with these courses that I've done really well in? So maybe the courses you borrowed were from English department, were from communication studies department. Despite that, overall, you have a tutu. Shine light on those courses. Now, when I say shine light, basically what I'm trying to say is go and look for programs that you can apply to, or that relate to those courses that you did really well in. So the courses you did well in are communicate com 101, introduction to public speaking, introduction to communication. Now when you're applying for programs, look out for programs like communication, like mass communication, like communication studies, right? Those programs would help you because somehow you've done well in the elementary courses in that field. You can actually then focus on those courses when you're talking about your achievements in your resume, when you're talking about when you're trying to describe your achievement in your application story, and in fact in your letter of introduction, you may want to mention or refer to those courses specifically. Does this make sense to you? Let me know in the chat if this is really making sense. If this is making sense, make sure you drop a note in the chat, right? So if you're joining me live, say I am live. Just tell me your name, where you're joining from, your location, your time, and hashtag live. Perhaps you're watching the replay, just simply say hashtag replay, right? And let's get into this. So I'm going to do a recap of all that I've shared. I'm going to do a recap of all that I have shared. I'm going to do a recap of all that I have shared so far. Well, basically today we've talked about getting out what are the possibilities of getting a fully funded scholarship with a second class lower. And I said that the first thing you need to get straight is get your facts. Don't shoot yourself in the leg. Don't get confused and allow analysis paralysis to cause confusion for you. And excuse me, make sure that you try to get the fact, okay? And in getting the fact, you ask questions. And the very first step to asking the right question is to what? Frequent my YouTube channel and get the fact, the clarity that you need. The second step, now the very first step of all steps, is to actually evaluate your transcripts, right? Evaluate your transcripts. Evaluate your transcripts. When you do not evaluate your transcript, you don't get clarity. You don't get clarity. When you evaluate your transcript, there is something that happens. You get the information that you need. You know where your CGPA falls. You know whether it is actually 3.0 or 2.9 or 2.8. That is, you know whether it falls within the range of the minimum, above the minimum, or below. And then you look out for schools clauses like conditional admission offer. That is, can they admit you, or look out for programs basically where you can still be admitted despite your low overall CGPA. And when you do well in your first semester, or as you go along in that program, you won't have a problem actually thriving in that program, doing well in that program. And of course, the fact that you then came into the program with a 2.2 or with a lower CGPA would not matter. Now, schools requirements, I've talked about that. Achievements, in your achievements, do not just focus on your academic achievements, okay? Look at your extracurricular achievements, look at your professional achievements, and look at programs that resonate with the aspect of of your overall academic journey that you have done well in. Let me make that more specific. If, for instance, over in your entire journey, you see that you academically you haven't done so well, professionally speaking, extracurricular wise, or community based wise, have you done really well? If you have, then begin to position yourself for programs that resonate with the professional achievement you have, your academic achievement, perhaps if you've done well academically, or perhaps your community based achievement. I am on a communication program right now because my community based achievements resonate with what I'm pursuing as a degree. I have a non-profit back home in Nigeria, or I happen to lead a non-profit, the Left Handers International Organization. And so my achievements in the non-profit space as a volunteer, as a community leader, all come together to what position me for admission. And so those were the things I really focused on. Does that make sense? So I want you to think about all that I've said so far and ask yourself, don't, and tell yourself, I am not going to shoot myself in the leg. I believe that there is abundance. I believe that my skills are important. My achievements are commendable. I am good. I can get an admission, a fully funded admission offer. I can get a guaranteed scholarship because there is abundance in the universe. There is no limitation here. I have all that I want. I've got the skills and the abilities to succeed because there is only abundance. There is no lack, only abundance. So believe in these principles and they would work for you. So I'm going to be taking questions right now. I'm going to be taking questions right now. For the next 10 minutes, I will take questions before we log out. For the next 10 minutes, I'm going to be taking questions before we log out. For the next 10 minutes, guess what? I will take questions before we log out. For the next 10 minutes, I will take questions before we log out. For the next 10 minutes, I'm going to take questions before we log out. For the next 10 minutes, I will take questions. So if you have questions for me, just drop your questions, right? Just drop your questions. I will take your questions immediately. So before we go to the questions, so far, if you're joining right now, make sure you try to watch the replay of this live session. Catch the full video on my YouTube channel. If you're not watching on YouTube, and definitely, if you find this content really useful, subscribe to this channel. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you drop a comment below and make sure you engage in the chats of my YouTube channel, right? Engage in the chat room, post your questions, like drop a comment so that you can get more clarity. If you want to work with me closely, I have $100 club. I call it the $100 scholarship guaranteed club. So this is a program for 100 people who want to work with me privately, but who cannot afford the one-on-one coaching, but who still would want my attention on that kind of one-on-one level, but not exactly on a one-on-one level. And so here is what I mean. So I created the 100 scholarship guaranteed club. Now, 100 scholarship guaranteed club, which is basically for 100 people who can commit to paying $100 instead of the regular price of $1,000. Now, this is what you're going to be benefiting or gaining in this program. In this program, you're going to be having access to my book, my $40 book, for only how much? Only, instead of paying $40, right? You only pay, guess what? You are not even paying for the book. You get free access to the book. Instead of paying $150 for my online course, you get free access to the online course, right? You get access to all of my templates, plus access to me once in a month as a group. As a group, you and the other people within the 100 cohort, 100 scholars cohort. And basically, what you're going to be benefiting, you will get templates. You get template as in letter of introduction template. How do you build a letter of introduction? You have template, statement of purpose template, resume template, all of my cheat sheets, all of my hacks, list of schools that still offer application fee waivers. All of those things you have access to, plus a support group on Telegram. I would only come live on this platform once a month to answer your questions, But guess what? This is a program for advanced students. I mean, for people who can work on their own. So you have access to my book. You have access to my $150 online course. My online course contains 7 modules. In module 1, you would learn about how to get rid of the limiting mindset that is telling you that a fully funded scholarship is not for you. In module 2, you're going to be learning how to build an application story for your application. And you find templates of application stories that you can adapt. And in module 3, you're going to be learning how to build your letter of introduction. The letter of introduction is an advancement of your application story, and it is the very foundation for your statement of purpose. Now, a letter of introduction is that essay that you send out to advisors or potential advisors in order to get their attention and possibly get them to have you meet with them on Zoom or Skype or any of those virtual platforms that will help you interact even closely with potential advisors in order to position yourself for admission with funding. Now, in the next module, that's module 4, you're going to be learning how exactly do you put out your application, what do you need to put in your application, how do you find schools with application fee waivers. In the 5th module, you're going to be building your essays and learning how to build all the necessary essays that you're going to be submitting for your application, especially your statement of purpose. In module 6, you're gonna be learning about how exactly do you avoid visa denial. Because a lot of times people get admitted fully funded and they still get denied visa. And so how exactly do you avoid visa denial? You're going to be learning that in the 6th module of my online course. In module 7, you will see how that's like the FAQ section. Basically, frequently asked questions from scholars that have worked with, that have attended my physical trainings in the past. You're going to be having access to module 7, where people have asked the kind of questions that are on your mind as you go through the program. You will get answers to those questions in the video section in the module 7 section. And there are a lot of things that I haven't even talked about that you also find in the program. You find a bonus video on how to write your letter of introduction, right? How to write letter of introduction. Does that make sense? So is there anything that I'm missing? I would like to take questions at this point. So now you would also have access to me. All of my templates plus access to me is worth how much? That's about, so the total $40 plus $150, that's about $200, right? Now you access to me plus all of my templates is $7.99. Okay? Now, $7.99 plus $200 is $9.99, right? So actually, the total is $999. But you're not paying this. Instead, you're paying how much? $99 or approximately $100. So to get access to everything that I've talked about, plus access to me every month, plus a support group that you have 1 year access to. I mean, you're going to be in the support group for 1 year. So it's not just 1 month support and then you go to sort things out yourself. No, you'll be in this support group for 12 calendar months. So you have, listened to me again, you have access to my book. In my book, you find the different steps by step to getting a fully funded scholarship. You have access to my video course worth $150, 7 module video course, my book worth $40, everything about $200. You have access to my templates plus access to me, plus access to my support group for 1 year, which is about $799. Now, everything comes to $999 or $1,000. Now, you're not paying that much. How much are you paying for everything? You're paying only $100. Wow. $100 or $99, approximately $100 is what you will pay. Now, when you visit my payment platform on Seller, once you drop a comment below, I will share with you the link to make payments. If you do the needful right now, you would even get bonus access to the inner circle. There's an inner circle for people who are actually making speedy progress as far as the application is concerned. And I'm going to be enrolling you on that inner circle so that even before we kick off this program, you don't waste your time. You have access to the content from the very day you sign up. But guess what? This is a limited offer and I'm only working with 100 people. If you miss the chance to get access to all of this right now and on time, you miss the chance to actually work with me on time. And guess what? If you do not take this offer by the between now and the 15th of September, you're going to pay $1,000. Now, it's not $200 you pay. You pay the actual amount, which is $1,000 from the 16th of September. So you want to jump in rather quickly. You don't want to waste time. You want to jump in on time. If we end up having enough people by the 15th of September, sorry, there will be no space for you until next year. So what would it be? Make sure you take this offer real quick, jump in right now and don't waste your time. And yes, I'm going to be taking questions at this point. I'm going to be checking the chat and I will be answering questions. I will stop sharing my screen so that I can see what is going on in the chat. So, who is engaging in the chat? Let me check the chat room. Let's see who is engaging in the chat. Okay, who is engaging in the chat? Let's see. Who are those engaging in the chat? Let's see. Awesome. If you have questions, let me see. I'd like to answer your questions. I see people on Facebook. Do you have questions for me? If you've got questions, please let me know. I'll take your questions immediately. Who has questions? Questions, questions, questions. I'm looking out for I'm looking out for questions. Okay, I'm going to go check those on the YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel. Okay, great. So if you've got questions for me, make sure you drop those questions below. What have you learned? So I'd like to have feedback. What have you learned in this session? Has this session really been useful for you? If it has been useful, what exactly have you learned? What exactly have you learned? What exactly have you unlearned? Basically, just let's see what is going on with these people who are following in the chat. Let's see if this is making sense to you. Let's see if you're getting value. Let's see if this is really worth your time. Let's see if this is really worth your time. I would like to check on those on the YouTube channel just to kind of see if who is following on YouTube. Wait a minute. All right. So that would be all for now. I'd like to also engage with those on our Instagram channel. I know that some people are just joining. Sorry, I mean Instagram and do. So some folks are just joining in. If you're just joining, just basically let us know where you're joining in from. If you're just joining, say, oh, I'm just joining from here, I'm just joining from there. Just let's know where you're joining in from and if this session has been useful for you. And understand one thing, you are good, you're smart, you can do it. Like you're having a 2-2 is not a limitation. I just want you to remember that. Despite that, I finished with a first class A. Even when I was applying for a program, I wasn't given an admission because I have a first class, because I don't even have one, but I don't have one, I have no background in in communication. And so I had to start from the scratch. So remember that you're good. Remember that there are possibilities, abundance is out there. The universe is there for you. Like you can have anything you want. There is no lack, only abundance. And the resources out in the universe will come together to help you achieve whatever your soul desires, your heart desires, whatever it is you want, basically. So there is nothing holding you back, nothing should stop you from positioning yourself for the opportunities out there. There is nothing that should stop you from positioning yourself for the opportunities out there. And I trust that you would succeed. I am rooting for you because I know that you deserve to have. Give me a moment. I'm trying to set up something for those our Instagram people. Remember that you cannot be stranded. You cannot be stranded. You cannot be stranded. You cannot be stranded. You can have less. You're capable of achieving anything that your heart desires. And basically you're talented, you've got the skills, you've got the ability to succeed. There is nothing actually stopping you from succeeding or from thriving or just doing what you just know that yes, there will be need for you to pay some sacrifices or just you would have to how do I explain this? You would have to count the cost, right? But most importantly, the very first step to getting anything done is to get clarity. If you do not get clarity, you cannot achieve anything. And clarity comes only in the doing. Clarity comes only in the doing. My name is Bisola Miriam, and today I've talked to you about how exactly or what the possibilities are for people who do not have a first class, who basically do not have a second class upper. I mean, people who have a second class lower or what we categorize as 2-2. And the question is, how can I get a fully funded scholarship despite my second class lower degree? Remember all that I've shared today. First of all, I said that you must get clarity. And the very first step to getting clarity is to engage on my YouTube channel, watch the videos, ask questions, and you would succeed. And the second, that's the basics. Now, knowing that you have learnt the basics today, which is to engage on my channel, I have taught you today that the very first step is to evaluate your transcript. If you evaluate your transcript, you know whether your transcript is actually competitive for a particular program or not. Don't just listen to what people say to you. Do your research, get your facts, and that means you visit a school's website after you have evaluated your transcript. How do you evaluate your transcript? Visit west.org. Go ahead and share. Once you visit, you evaluate your transcript, confirm whether you have a 2.9 or 3.0. Basically confirm where your degree, your class of your result falls, the range of your CGPA. Does it fall within, below, or above? Now, once you confirm this, the next thing you want to do is to go ahead and apply, especially if there is a clause on the website that says that there is a permission to continue, or a conditional admission. Basically, the meaning of that is you can apply for the program, and if you thrive, you do well, good to go. Like, you're good to go, good to go, good to go. Meaning that if you can do well on the program, despite that they admit you on a conditional admission basis, and you thrive, you succeed, they are not going to stop you. They are not going to withdraw. Like, you won't be withdrawn from the program. That's what I'm saying basically. The next thing you want to remember that I've talked about today is, after you have evaluated your transcript and you're ready, you know you can apply, then begin to put your document together. And when you're putting your document together, tell your story in the most powerful way. In telling your story, you must actually, look at what makes you competitive. Emphasize your achievement, like shine the light on your achievement, highlight your achievements. What am I saying? Look at what you have done in your professional life. If your academic result isn't so competitive, after you have verified on WES and also double checked on the school website, go ahead and actually look at your professional experience. If that makes you competitive, go for it. Look at your extracurricular achievement or your community-based work. Does that make you competitive? If the answer is yes, go for it. So do not limit yourself in any way. You're good, you're smart, you're talented, you can do this, right? This is the Clarity Call with Bisola Miriam, and I'm so happy and grateful that you took out time to join me live. Don't just listen to this video, don't just watch this video. Make sure you drop a comment. Make sure you share this with someone who is probably traumatized, confused. Remember that every 40 seconds, someone dies by suicide. Suicide is not just because people are going through trauma as a result of their childhood abusive experiences or traumatic experiences. Some people are actually traumatized or depressed or going through, are contemplating suicide because of unfulfilled dreams, or because they cannot actually achieve anything significant with their lives. You sharing this video might just be your way to contribute to reducing suicidal rate in our community, because an informed mind is a clear mind, because a mind that knows is a mind that is free. And so you and I can actually make the world a better place by sharing this content and liberating someone who is frustrated because he or she thinks that her dream or his dream cannot become a reality just because he or she doesn't have a first class. And I hope that you take that call today to liberate somebody. And most importantly, do not miss my offer. This offer expires on the 15th of September. So you want to do all you can to actually get in. Join the 100 scholarship guaranteed club. 100 Scholarship Guaranteed Club. This is basically a cohort that I'm setting up by the end of September. Enrollment has started from today, and the enrollment continues from today till the 15th of September. Now, what is the 100 Scholarship Guaranteed Cohort Club about? It is a program for 100 people looking to secure undergraduate or graduate level program scholarships abroad. And instead of paying $1,000, these people would have access to my book worth $40 for free. They have access to my $150 worth online course for free. They have access to my templates and my cheat sheets, my hacks, my proven methods, and everything that I've put together over the years at $0. Now they have access to my coaching, which is $799 at. So when you think about everything, everything comes together to total $1,000. But instead of $1,000, I'm giving the 100 Scholarship Guaranteed Club members access to everything for only $100. I mean, roughly $99. And so you're paying approximately $100 to have access to this private community. Now, I'm going to be supporting you for 1 year, 12 calendar months. So you're having access to my community, my inner circle for 12 months at zero cost. You're going to be having access to all of my templates and cheat sheets at how much? At zero cost. You're going to be getting a list of schools with application fee waivers at zero cost. You're going to be having essay templates, I mean your statement of purpose template, your resume template, letter of introduction template, everything that I've put together that I use, that other scholars have used over the years. You have access to everything at at a ridiculous price of of $99. You have access to my book that is even $40 for zero cost. You have access to my online course. In this online course, there are 7 modules. My online course is not just now. In my online course, you will see me come live in that program where it's a done for you program basically. And in this online course, I have recorded videos. In the first module, I talked about how exactly you can remove limitations from your mind and believe that there is abundance out there. And I have answered a lot of questions as far as mindset or mind programming for a fully funded scholarship is concerned. So, in the first module, you hear me talk about mindset. In the second module, I talked about application story. The very foundation for any application that will be competitive is an application story. Does that make sense? The very third thing you want to think about that I've talked about in the video, in the third module, is your letter of introduction. And so your application story would help you build a letter of introduction. So I will teach you how to design and craft your application story. You would also get access to templates of application stories. And so you then have access to the online, to the video, to the screen sharing part, and the templates for building a letter of introduction, basically. And so you would also have access to the section where I talked about how you can send out letters of introduction to schools, because the letter of introduction is a very important document that would help you get the attention of potential advisors. Finally, I then went on to talk in the fifth module. I talked about how you can get um, how you can then submit your application. How do you make your application competitive? All of these things I've talked about in this program. And you don't want to miss that chance to be among the 100 scholars that I would be working closely with for the next 12 months for only $99 instead of $1,000. Now, this is an offer that you cannot have again. By the 15th of September, this offer goes from $99 or $100 to $999 or $1,000 approximately. So this is your chance between now and the 15th of this month. Get access to this private support for 12 months, access to my inner circle, access to my online course, access to my book, access to my what to my to access to me once a month. I mean Q&A with me. Everything that is worth $1,000 for how much? Only $99, which is approximately $100. Join the 100 Scholarship Guaranteed Club today. If you don't join between now, if you don't even reach out to join the wait list, there is no way you can have access to all that I've talked about. And remember that there is abundance in the universe. Everything you need is here. If you don't ask, you don't get. If you don't seek, you don't find. Right? Matthew 7:7. If you knock, the door will be open unto you. If you seek, you will find. And your very first step to getting is to ask questions, is to get clarity. Thank you for joining me on today's free clarity call. Perhaps you're just watching the excerpt of this video on my Facebook timeline or my Facebook page or my YouTube on my Instagram handle. Make sure you go to my YouTube channel right now, www.bisolamiriam.com. Sorry, www.youtube.com/bisolamiriam. youtube.com/bisolamiriam. That is where you find the full video of to this session on how exactly you can get a guaranteed scholarship despite having a second class lower, or what we generally call a 2-2. Thank you for coming today, and I'll see you next week.